What is one country that you will never visit? The last time I saw this posted, it seemed every woman in the world should avoid Egypt. When I was 16, my godmother and I were planning a trip to Egypt. Then I mentioned I was taking Italian classes at my high school, and that led to us deciding to go to Italy instead. I remember we landed in Rome, turned on the TV in our hotel room, and discovered that the 2011 Egyptian uprising was happening literally at that moment when we would have been there. Crazy luck. Some people got it. My cousin had an uneasy feeling and left Phuket prematurely a few days before the tsunami hit. This was before any warning, and she was supposed to stay there well after the tragedy. I think her husband listens to her from that point on. My brother and I take a scuba diving vacation every year. We originally planned to go to Sipadan but changed to Belize, can't remember why, probably cost. We would have been there when the kidnappings happened. It was really odd knowing that could have easily been us. We talked about what it would have been like. We both would have taken our chances and jumped out of the boat. Haiti. As much as I'd love to visit my mother's home country, there's a reason even my mother hasn't gone back since the early 00s. Haiti continually gets ducked by political unrest, economic upheaval, and ecological turmoil. Combined with the fact that our last living relative that was still there died back in 05, we have no connection to that place anymore. I sincerely, emphatically hope things get better, because one day I would love to connect with that part of my heritage, but not now, and probably not within the next 10 years, either. Many years ago, I went on a Royal Caribbean cruise that stopped at their private island. It was actually a little corner of Haiti. I just Googled it out of curiosity and, holy shit, our cruise is cheap. 5 nights round the Caribbean for $300? That's absolutely insane. That's almost cheaper than just staying home and paying rent plus food plus lecky plus insurance plus etc. Assuming it's year-round, that's $21K for an all-expenses-paid accommodation. If I could go fully remote and just work from my cabin on satellite, I'd be tempted. Some elderly people spend years on ships. Cheaper than a retirement community. This is considerably more common than most people realize. Many people who have the means also bring caretakers, nurses, and have a few that just rotate weeks or whatever duration. They often build up loyalty points and get steep discounts, free second traveler for the caretaker, cabin upgrades, etc. It ends up making it less expensive the longer they do it with the same cruise line. They do usually have to get off at home port to allow for inspections and cleaning, but mostly just stay aboard besides that. You can follow this guide and it only comes out to a couple $100 more per month than a normal retirement. This also includes cruises to 5 continents, literally sailing around the world. You could probably sail exclusively in the Caribbean for a lot less. Till that, when I get old, I should invest in some sea legs. I'm thinking of getting metal legs. It's a risky operation, but it'll be worth it. Probably Afghanistan. It's not safe for foreigners. Not safe for Afghans either, lol. Not safe for anything that can breathe. Such a shame, it is a beautiful country. More than 70% of it is mountains. It would have been a great place to visit. Sad Afghanistan. It's a beautiful country, and I know the regular people are friendly. But I probably won't survive a week there. It's a really sad country, emo. You'll see beautiful mountains, and over every other hill is a destroyed town or Soviet tank graveyard. I'll never go back to Switzerland. It's pretty, I just can't afford to breathe there. Even talking about Switzerland feels expensive. I don't think we can afford this conversation. North Korea. To check the box, you can go to the joint security area and walk around the conference table that sits in the border. Just make sure you leave through the right door. Done that. There's always a guard standing by the door into the north to make sure. So this dumb asshole tries to break into North Korea. Can you believe it? I thought I was just doing this job for show. I live in Venezuela, and if I manage to leave Venezuela, I won't come to visit. Update, road pirates are a thing, twitter.com. My good friend is Venezuelan. He left in 2014. Get a few drinks in him and he starts ranting about how much he hated it. I might be your friend. If you aren't, you should be. Syria is such a bed of history, cities that are ancient that I'd love to see for myself, but sadly just wouldn't be safe, I think, for a long time. Myanmar. Spent my pre-adolescence there during the previous rule of the junta, when Suu Kyi was in house arrest. I cannot begin to explain the fear that was present in everyday life there then. My father had to be at Yangon for some pretty run-of-the-mill corporate work and was nonetheless always on alert. As a 101,112-year-old, I was not allowed to answer telephones, lest I reveal something that might seem problematic to the administration. Even in an atmosphere that you were on the brink of rubbing law enforcement the wrong way, my most memorable moments were brushes with the younger adult neighbors in our apartment who were running an illegal computer training center. I cannot imagine their lives now, suspended in constant agitation. Reading the comments on this and a previous thread as an Egyptian woman, I feel so ashamed of my country and sad for all the women who had to deal with terrible kinds of sexual harassments in Egypt and many more unfortunate events that happened there. I'm so sorry you had to go through this, and I'm apologizing on behalf of everyone who dared to make you feel uncomfortable in any way, because I absolutely know what you went through. It's what almost every Egyptian woman goes through every day, and we're still not heard. You don't have anything to apologize for. The Republic of Congo. Edit. What I meant to type was DRC. Not sure why my brain neglected to type the first word. Is it substantially worse than DRC? Last I read about the topic, the Republic of the Congo is actually supposed to be relatively safe by sub-Saharan African standards, while the DRC is extremely dangerous. But that was some years back, so I don't know if it's still true today. Just heard a presentation by Tom Miranda, botanist, not the TV hunter dude, doing expeditions into the Congo to document orchid species for the last 20 years. Made a friend there who just tells him when it's safe. During the safe times apparently it's pretty normal, for a semi-wealthy man with travel know-how, and the villagers interested in conservation are very nice. But sometimes he gets a call that there's tribal drama and then he steers clear. Sudan. Either of them. I spent 2 weeks in South Sudan in the summer of 2005. This was when the civil war was still happening, so before Sudan was two separate countries. There was something like 30 kilometers of paved road in all of South Sudan at the time. It was beautiful, but there was literally no infrastructure. Lots of AK-47s though. My dad's colleague was trapped with no connection to outside world in this recent coup in Sudan. Everyone in office was worrying about that group she went with. Thankfully they were extradited to India by the company. Even my dad was being asked repeatedly to go, and he asked me. As I had fairly good grasp of current affairs, I told him no every time, as this shit was going to go down in future. Now I don't think anyone will be sent for projects there. Somalia. Burkina Faso. Look it up, it's a pretty messed up place, but I'm not talking just about the socio-political stuff, I'm talking about diseases. When I worked at a medical clinic, one of the departments in my unit, I worked registration front desk, was international travel medicine, where you get your shots before you go to some exotic location and or get malaria meds, etc. I asked one of the PAs what place has the most shots if you want to go there. He said Burkina Faso. Don't go there. I am from Burkina Faso, and well, apart from the rise in terrorism, I think most people here live quite well compared to some other places in Africa, even if they are in poverty. People have a great sense of community, and there's a lot of entertainment around the capital city. Very good theater shows, various festivals, museums. I know quite a few foreigners, Americans, Canadians and French, who enjoy it here and have decided to make it their home. None have died from any disease that I know yet, lol. Honestly, the climate is pretty hot here but not humid, and I would think there are less ways of getting bad diseases here than in more humid places like d'Ivoire. Honestly, I love my country and it's a very cool place to live in if you find your people and have enough money. I just know going to the extreme north-northeast and staying in big cities like Ouagadougou, one can have a very good time in Burkina Faso. Why shouldn't someone go to the extreme north or east? Just curious. Would love to visit one day. This is where terrorist groups are operating, and some places are absolutely not safe for locals, even less for foreigners. But the bigger cities are as safe, and maybe safer if you are not alone, as any big city can get. If you are interested in visiting, you can try to connect with some people from the American Embassy or teachers from the American school if you don't speak French, so that they can show you around. The cost of living here is really low, and one can live like a king for a few weeks for the fraction of the money it would take in other places. You also get used to the heat if you have AC inside. There were plenty of places to visit outside of Ouagadougou before the problem of terrorism started, fantastic zoos and cool wild places like Cayman's Secret de Cebu, Les Cascades de Banfara, Gravure de Luango or Parc National d'Arly. Google them if you have time. The Cebu one is actually where my mother was born. Smile. You could even go in local chiefs' palaces and discuss with them, taking awesome pictures and memories along the way. But, unfortunately, terrorism completely ruined the tourism industry here.